We all think about the look and feel of a home, right? You know, the finishes, the layout.
Sure.
But have you ever stopped to think about what's literally holding it all up? We're talking about the foundation, that unseen hero beneath your feet.
Yeah, absolutely. Often overlooked.
So today, we're taking a deep dive into what makes a solid foundation. Because, well, understanding this can save you a lot of headaches down the road.
Exactly. We're going to unpack the essential rules, the sort of guiding principles for a home's stability and dryness.
Okay.
And our focus is on two key sections of the 2024 International Residential Code. R401.2, which is all about how the weight of your house actually gets transferred to the ground.
A load path.
Precisely. And R401.3, which deals with keeping water away from that foundation. Super important.
Think of this as your personal guide to the fundamentals. Whether you own a home, inspect them, or build them, this is information you really need to know. Okay, so let's get right to it. How does all that weight from your house actually end up being supported by the soil?
Well, that's where this concept of load paths comes in, as outlined in IRC section R401.2.
Right.
Every part of your house, the roof, the walls, even the furniture inside, snow on the roof, it all exerts a force, a load, downwards.
Okay.
The code requires that the foundation be designed and built to receive all these loads, including those from wind and snow, and then safely transfer them down into the ground. It's got to be a continuous path.
So the foundation is like the crucial middleman in this weight transfer, like a relay race baton.
Huh. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, passing the load along. But what happens when the ground itself isn't so straightforward? You mentioned something earlier.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the situations where the ground might have been, filled in, not original soil.
That's a critical point. The code specifically addresses fill soils, meaning areas where soil has been brought in and compacted. Foundations built on fill require extra attention because, well, fill can be less stable than undisturbed natural soil. And it hasn't had thousands of years to settle, right?
Makes sense.
So the IRC mandates that the design, installation, and testing of foundations on fill must follow accepted engineering practice.
Accepted engineering practice. Okay, that sounds a bit vague. What does that actually mean day to day?
It does sound a bit formal, yeah. In practical terms, it means you really need to know your local building codes.
Ah, local rules.
Yes, and what your local building officials require for things like soil testing and foundation design specifically on fill. It's not a one-size-fits-all rule. What works in sandy soil won't work in clay,
Right, so what's acceptable in one town might not be in the next because of different soil types or maybe even climate conditions.
Exactly.
So for you, the homeowner listening, what should maybe raise a red flag when it comes to how your house meets the ground? What should you look out for?
Keep an eye out for subtle signs of movement. Things like new cracks appearing in your foundation walls, floors that suddenly feel like they're sloping, or doors and windows that start sticking when they didn't before. That can sometimes indicate settlement.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Not always, but possibly.
Right. Also, be aware if there's any major landscaping or digging projects happening near your home's foundation. That can change things.
Good point.
And if you know your house was built on fill, or maybe it's had foundation work done in the past, having those records, that paperwork, is really valuable information.
That makes sense. Catching those little clues early could prevent bigger, much more expensive problems later on.
Definitely.
Now, shifting gears a bit. If you're a home inspector, what are you looking for specifically related to these load paths in the soil?
Well, inspectors are trained to spot those same signs of settlement that homeowners should watch for: the cracks, the sticking doors, uneven floors. But they'll also be looking for evidence of past repairs, maybe things like underpinning.
Which is?
Oh, right. Underpinning is basically a technique to strengthen an existing foundation, maybe make it deeper or wider.
Right.
So they look for signs of that, or maybe signs of soil stabilization efforts. And ideally, for newer homes built on fill, they'd really want to see documentation confirming the soil was properly compacted according to those engineering standards we talked about.
So proof it was done right.
Exactly. And fundamentally, they're trying to visualize that load path we mentioned, ensuring the weight is being efficiently transferred from the roof all the way down without obvious weak spots or interruptions.
So it's about reading the story of how the house and the ground are interacting.
Precisely.
And for the contractors out there, the builders, What are the key responsibilities on their end for this part?
Oh, contractors have a huge role right from the absolute start. This means conducting thorough soil testing before they even think about laying any foundation.
Crucial first step.
Absolutely. Then they need to strictly adhere to the engineered plans, which should be based on those soil test results.
Right.
Documenting the entire process, how the soil was prepared, how the foundation was installed, that's really important too, for accountability and future reference.
Okay.
And look, if they encounter any surprises with the soil once they actually start digging, maybe it's wetter than expected or a different type, they need to communicate that immediately with the engineers and the local building officials. Don't just wing it.
Communication is key. Okay, so we've got the house standing strong, transferring its weight properly. But what about keeping it dry? Because water can be just as damaging to a foundation as unstable soil, maybe even more insidious.
You are absolutely right. Water is relentless. And that brings us neatly to IRC section R401.3, which is all about drainage and grading.
Okay, keeping things dry.
Exactly. This section is all about creating a barrier, managing water effectively. It mandates that surface water, rain, snowmelt must be drained away from the foundation.
Makes sense?
The goal is simple.
Yeah.
Prevent water from just sitting there against the foundation walls, because that can lead to leaks, damp basements or crawl spaces, and eventually even structural issues if it goes on long enough.
Right. Weakens the concrete or mortar over time.
Correct. So this water needs to be directed away to an approved place, like a storm drain system, or maybe just a lower part of the yard well away from the house.
And the most basic way to achieve this is with the slope of the ground right around the house, isn't it? That little hill you sometimes see.
Exactly that. Proper grading is the first line of defense. The standard requirement in the IRC is a 6-inch drop in the ground level.
6 inches.
Within the first 10 feet extending out from the foundation wall.
Okay, 6 inches over 10 feet. Doesn't sound like a huge slope.
It might not sound like much, no, but it's generally enough to encourage rainwater and snowmelt to flow away naturally using gravity rather than pooling right up against your foundation.
But what if your property is really flat? Or maybe you've got a really tight lot line right up against the neighbor. Is that 6-inch drop always possible?
Good question. The code recognizes that site conditions vary a lot. So if that standard slope just isn't feasible, maybe because of lot lines or existing structures, or a naturally steep site where grading like that would cause other problems, the IRC allows for approved alternatives. This could mean installing drainage systems like French drains maybe, or creating swales.
Swales, like shallow ditches.
Yeah, basically shallow, often vegetated channels designed to gently redirect water flow along a planned path.
Okay.
And there's another detail. Even if you have impervious surfaces like concrete patios, asphalt driveways right next to the house, within that 10-foot zone, they still need to slope away. The code says at least 2% away from the foundation.
2% for hard surfaces. Got it. So it's all about giving the water an easier path away from the house than towards it.
That's the core principle. Make it easy for water to leave.
Now, for our listeners, let's break down what this means for them directly. Homeowners, what should you be paying attention to? What should you do regarding drainage?
Okay, for homeowners, this really translates to some pretty straightforward regular maintenance. First, keep your gutters and downspouts clean. If they're clogged, water just spills over the edge right next to the foundation.
Yeah, it defeats the whole purpose.
Totally. Second, periodically check the slope of the ground around your foundation. Has landscaping work changed it? Has it settled over time? Make sure it's still sloping away.
Okay.
Also, avoid planting shrubs and trees too close to the foundation. Roots can interfere with drainage, and dense foliage holds moisture against the wall.
Good tip.
Consider adding extensions to your downspouts to carry water even further away from the house, maybe 5 or 10 feet out if possible.
Simple fix, often very effective.
Very. And finally, if you ever see water pooling near your foundation after rain, don't ignore it. That's a clear sign something needs adjustment.
Simple, actionable steps. Love it. Now, home inspectors, flipping it to you guys, what are your key checkpoints for drainage and grading when you're looking at a property?
Inspectors will be specifically looking for that 6-inch drop within 10 feet. They might even use tools like a level or a zip level to measure the slope accurately.
Getting precise.
Yep. They'll be scanning for any low spots near the foundation where water might be pooling or signs of erosion caused by uncontrolled runoff. They'll definitely inspect the gutters and downspouts. Are they properly installed? Are they sized correctly? Are they damaged? And crucially, where are they directing the water?
Making sure it goes somewhere safe.
Right. They'll also verify the slope, of any paved surfaces near the house, that 2% minimum we talked about.
Right.
And of course, they'll be on the lookout for any visible signs of water damage on the foundation itself, staining, efflorescence, deterioration.
Acting as water detectives, basically.
You could say that. Following the clues water leaves behind.
And for contractors, back to them again. What are their responsibilities in setting up this proper drainage from the start?
Well, the contractors are the ones responsible for actually implementing the whole drainage and grading plan according to the site design and the IRC requirements.
Making it happen.
Exactly. This includes making sure the ground is properly sloped during construction, not just hoping for the best later, installing gutters and downspouts that function correctly. And often, this phase also involves applying appropriate waterproofing or dam-proofing materials to the foundation walls below ground level, which is another layer of defense against moisture.
Okay. Different topic, but related.
Definitely related. And they also need to ensure that any paved areas they install, like patios or walkways near the house, are sloped correctly right from the start.
So getting it right from day one.
That's the goal.
Okay, wow. We've covered quite a bit here, how the foundation carries the weight, the load paths, dealing with tricky soil, and then how it manages water through grading and drainage, all guided by these key parts of the building code, R401.2 and R401.3.
Yep, the 1-2 punch for a solid foundation.
But stepping back, why should someone who isn't a builder or an inspector, just a regular homeowner or maybe someone looking to buy, really care about these maybe somewhat technical details? What's the big picture here?
Look, understanding these sections, even just the basics we've talked about, is absolutely crucial for protecting what's likely your biggest investment in a home.
Right. Your investment.
Following R401.2, the load path stuff, ensures the structural soundness of your home. It helps prevent costly and potentially dangerous foundation failures down the road.
Which nobody wants.
Nobody. And R401.3, the drainage part, is vital for preventing water damage. Water intrusion can lead to mold, rot, damage to finishes, attract pests. Just a whole host of problems that impact not only your wallet, but also your family's health and the actual value of your property.
Yeah, water damage can spiral quickly.
It really can. So together, these principles, proper load transfer and effective water management, contribute directly to the long-term stability and durability of your home. It saves you money and a whole lot of stress in the long run.
Right. So it's not just about following some arbitrary rules in a code book. It's fundamentally about building and maintaining a safe, healthy, and lasting home.
That's it, exactly. Whether you're buying, selling, inspecting, building, or just living in your home, having a solid understanding of these foundational principles is, well, foundational for everyone involved.
So as we wrap up this look beneath the surface, maybe take a moment later today and think about the foundation of your own home, or perhaps one you might be considering buying. It's this silent, often completely unseen structure doing incredibly important work day in and day out, keeping you safe and dry. Have you ever really given it much thought before?
It's a good question to ponder. And hey, if this conversation has piqued your interest and you want to dig a bit deeper, that resource we've been drawing from, it has a great further reading section at the end.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, you can find links to articles with titles like, let me see, Inspecting Footings, The Unsung Heroes Beneath a House. That sounds relevant.
Definitely.
And another one, Inspecting Foundation Drainage, Essential Guideline for Below-Grade Spaces. These offer even more detailed information about these critical systems and the codes that guide how they should be built and maintained.
Perfect. So if you want to know more, the resources are out there to keep exploring.
Absolutely. Plenty more to learn.